Good afternoon, everybody. This is Thad at the Rawlings Library, and thanks for joining me for a walk time just in time for lunch. Um, uh, Today, I'm going to do or show you a recipe from a book that is a cookbook that's recently been added to the collection um, here at the here at PCCLD, and I'll already start with a precursor. I made this probably a couple hours ago and was able to have some for lunch before coming in, and it was pretty darn tasty. Um, let's go ahead and let's get started here. So first of all, the book that this is coming from, it's currently checked out, so I'm unable to show you the actual book here. But this is it, the Essential Wok Cookbook by Naomi, I'll probably butcher this, Naomi Imatome-Yun. But it's a lot of really nice, easy wok recipes. So if you're looking for for a good beginner step into wok cooking, this is a great cookbook to try. The recipe that I selected from this book is stir-fried beef with mangoes and pineapples. Um, and I'll go over, we'll go ahead and let me switch over to the video here. So I have two videos to show you. Um, One video is marinating the beef, and then the second video is of the cooking itself. There's a little snippet here added to this recipe in the book, and I'll just read that real quick. But it says, there's some beloved American-style Chinese dishes made with canned and fresh fruit. It's a sweet and savory mix that's fun to experiment with at home. This is one of them, which you should make with fresh mangoes and pineapples if you can for the best result. And I would second that. Marinate the beef overnight for a quick and simple weekend meal. Now, what I did not have the opportunity to do was marinate this overnight. It was kind of a quick marinade. I maybe got maybe an hour in with it, but that's okay. It was still delicious. But let me go ahead and start with the first video here. So what I'm doing is adding some brown sugar. And this recipe calls for about a tablespoon of brown sugar. I usually kind of eyeball everything, and I was making this for a little bit bigger than what the recipe calls for here. So my ingredients are maybe a little bit more than what this calls for. But yeah, adding the brown sugar, and then about about a teaspoon of sesame oil, and I probably added quite a bit more than that. But yeah, the flavor of the sesame oil in the beef is delicious. We have about 2 tablespoons of Chinese rice wine, or well, this was rice vinegar I used. Still delicious. Just gives that nice little tang. And then about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and then about 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. And if you've done this kind of cooking before, these are really some of your basic ingredients that you will need for wok cooking. And so then probably looking for a whisk, and there it is, and just going to whisk that together, kind of get that sugar to break up a little bit. Get it as liquefied as possible. And I know I don't think I have it perfect. I know it's still a little small chunk or two. That's all right. And then added, this recipe calls for a pound of beef fillet cut into strips. What I bought instead was a pack of already cut up beef that you can get at the grocery store. Specifically, it says on here beef for tacos, but it's real nice already cut up meat that's easy to cook. And so I'm just adding all that to the marinade. And two ways you can blend this. One common way with this type of cooking is to blend it by hand. My only reasoning for not doing that here is to keep as much of the ingredients in that container as possible. So what I do instead is pop the lid on and I just shake it. And I don't recall if I got it on camera or not, but I would also add some little bit of salt and a pepper to this as well, just some black pepper. And I think I do end up adding some more of the sauces as well. But we'll go ahead and back out of there. And so before, I hope this is not the, okay, sorry, spoiler. So before cooking everything, you want to get all your vegetables and fruit, in this case, chopped up, have that ready to go. And that's always the case with wok cooking, have everything ready. And so what this called for, the recipe specifically, 2 cloves of garlic, which, I always end up doing way more than any recipe ever calls for. 1 green pepper, which I did stick with that. It says 1 sweet onion. I did half an onion, and that seemed to be fine. And then this calls for a cup of cubed mango and pineapple. It's kind of unclear in the recipe here if it's a cup of each or a cup combined. The recipe, when I read it, it kind of makes it seem like combined, but I wanted to have quite a bit in there. So it's probably about a cup of fresh cut up pineapple and fresh cut up mango that's ready for the dish. So let's go to our wok. And so that's been getting hot now, and you want it on high heat. And so I have this sped up just because the cooking kind of lengthy. But so I forgot to add a little bit of extra oil to the pan before adding the meat. But that's okay since there's already sesame oil in the beef. But anyways, just add the beef. And so what I'm doing first is just letting that just kind of cook and sear for 1 minute. Kind of tossing it a little bit back and forth, moving it around. And let that wok smoke really seep into the meat. And if I may have mentioned in past wok videos, but I'd mention it again. Yeah, definitely if you can get yourself some specific wok instruments, really helps a lot. Like special wok spatula works far better in a wok than just a regular spatula. I think the curve of it and then the length of the handle, and that was me picking out a piece and trying it. But yeah, after the first minute, flipped it and doing another minute. And I think what I start doing here is moving some of the meat up on the side of the wok, just so that kind of cooks as well. And then after that minute, yeah, give it a little shake, and then flipping it again. And I think I do 1 more minute just to get it pretty cooked. Usually when you're doing meat in a wok, you typically, especially with beef, you don't want to cook it all the way through yet. And some of that here, I'm sure, did get cooked all the way through, but it'll get cooked further later once it's added with the rest of the dish. I know it's kind of hard to see through all the smoke, but yeah, just let that sit for another minute, and you see there's a good simmer going with all those sauces and juices from the beef. And so now what I'm going to do is scoop it into, let's see, I have to look at my burner. So I scooped that into a container and set it off to the side. And so returning the wok to the heat, or to the stove, added a little more olive oil. And so now straight pepper went in there. But I always like to add my onion and my garlic first. And then just let that start to sear and saute, and just, give it a little shake like that. Or toss, excuse me. Toss is the appropriate term. And from this recipe, it's incredible. That's why I love wok cooking, because once you get the prep done, it's really fast. It takes about 10 minutes to actually cook the dish. So now adding the pepper here, let that start to get some sear to it. Just toss that onion and garlic and pepper all together, and that smell in the kitchen's always fantastic. And I think off to the side, so on the other burner you can kind of see up in the upper right hand corner, so I have some Thai rice noodles boiling. And so now I've added the mango, get that mixed in, and then we'll add the pineapple. Or did I add it all together? Can't recall if I did the mango first and then the pineapple, or if I did them together. But either way, you could do that either way. And then, just start tossing that and mixing that together. It's looking pretty fantastic. I must have added the pineapple already. And just trying to get that cooked pretty well before bringing the beef back to the wok. And there's the beef and all of its juice from the marinade. And then just kind of start tossing that a little bit. And the more you add to a wok, it kind of gets harder to toss. So just moving it around, mixing it together, doing small tosses, and then just adding a little bit more black pepper. And then a final ingredient, I just took probably ended up being about a couple tablespoons of just white granulated sugar, and adding that to the mix. And now just kind of cook all that together, let all the flavors come together. Just kind of keep mixing. And I'm going to go ahead and back out of this now and show you the a plated portion. And so that was, I then put some of that mixture on those pad thai noodles, and man, what a good lunch. I was a little worried. I've never cooked mango before, and it really has a nice, soft, savory taste to it once it's cooked, and gets those beef flavors into it. And then pineapple's always great in Chinese dishes. But very delicious dish. Definitely hit the spot. And so let's get back to okay. So hopefully that gives you a cool little idea for some quick wok cooking. Like I said, real delicious, and I hope you get a chance to try it. And once again, you can check out that book. You can either I would recommend, since it's checked out at the moment, placing a hold on it. But definitely check it out if you're trying to learn some basic wok tricks. But thanks again for tuning in. Have a good afternoon.